commonly broken laws of all time. 10. Singing copyrighted songs. The copyright system is an absolute mishmash of contradicting laws and regulations, and the rules concerning fair use are so vague that legal and illegal are nearly indistinguishable. With that said, a majority of songs are to be considered copyrighted and cannot be publicly performed or recorded without paying a royalty to the ASCAP, or the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Producers. You'd think that this would only apply to cover bands and live performers who, make money off using the music. Nope. Even singing, performing, or participating in an unlicensed singing of a copyrighted song is technically breaking the law. Many years ago, the ASCAP sued the Girl Scouts for their use of Happy Birthday to You around campfires, claiming that they were owed royalties for illegal public performances of their songs. In fact, the owners of Happy Birthday to You copyright are infamous for their suing just about anybody they caught performing their song, and were actually legally able to do so until February 2016, where the song's lyrics formally entered the public domain. Gambling. Gambling laws differ by state and city, and specific rules vary so widely there's no way we would be able to describe them all. In general, if you're putting money on the line but you're not placing a bet at a casino or buying a lottery ticket, it's illegal gambling. With that being said, betting is not always illegal. A rule of thumb used in most states to discern the difference between legal and non-legal betting is the factor of chance versus the factor of skill versus the medium in which you play. Think of a roulette table. 38 slots, one number to choose, so 38 to 1 odds. Completely chance-based and completely illegal outside of casinos and special exemptions. Now imagine challenging someone to an arm wrestling match and betting money on it. Provided they accept, match your bet, and assuming nobody else places bets, this form of betting is usually considered to be a form of social gambling and is actually legal in most states. This is because the outcome is not chance, it is skill, as whoever is the better arm wrestler will win. Most card games are an exception to this, as even though they usually require more skill than chance, chance will occasionally beat out skill, and as such, they are illegal. However, please don't go out and make bets willy-nilly, as 20 states still ban social gambling altogether, and both Florida and Iowa place caps of $10 and $50 respectively on all forms of non-licensed gambling. As to just how common illegal gambling is, it is estimated that every year between $80 and $400 billion of cold hard cash is illegally bet on sports alone, with 1/4 of those being football related. 8. Cell phone while driving. A recent study found that distracted or impaired driving is a factor in over 80% of all automobile crashes in North America, with 1/4 of those being cell phone related. These statistics also extend to handheld GPSs, iPods, and other music playing devices, and even laptop computers. While in Canada using a cell phone is completely banned while driving, in the US only 26 states have banned or set license restrictions on texting, talking, or otherwise using a handheld device. Regardless of laws and the general shaming of anyone on their phone while driving, more than 50% of all drivers with a cell phone admit to answering a call or replying to a text while behind the wheel. With half of the population admitting to distracted driving, we would love to put this entry further up the list. However, due to cell phone use being legal while driving in half the states, the actual number is probably closer to 1/4. Number 7. Connecting to free Wi-Fi. Over the past few years, many restaurants and fast food joints have put money toward free Wi-Fi for their customers, and from a business point of view, it was a great decision, with many locations, especially fast food business, seeing an increased amount of sit-in dinners. However, one unforeseen problem with free Wi-Fi is that it's pretty much difficult to ensure that only customers are given access. While some restaurants have solved this problem by giving diners a daily changing Wi-Fi password upon request, For many, this solution is not viable as they see thousands of customers a day, and giving out passwords only slows down service times. As such, most locations are forced to leave their Wi-Fi open and available, with little to no control over who connects. Since public Wi-Fi is rather new, laws regarding its use are rather fuzzy. With that being said, they are very clear that in order to access and use public Wi-Fi, you must have permission from the owner and must follow any terms and conditions. Since nobody ever bothers to read them, we'll just point out that most have a clause that more or less requires users to be both inside the building and to have purchased food at that location. Say for example you're at the bank and quickly want to check whichever social network suits you, but you cheaped out and didn't get a very large data plan on your phone. Fear not, the next door McDonald's has free Wi-Fi. If you connect to that Wi-Fi, you're technically breaking the law, as is the kid waiting for his parents outside in the car and even the people in the drive-thru. While it's rather hard to enforce, people have actually received punishment. Way back in 2007, a Michigan man was fined $400 and sentenced to 40 hours of community service for checking his email from his car using a cafe's open Wi-Fi. At the time, the charges seemed ludicrous, but lately there have been reports of similar yet less severe punishments being handed out all over the country. 6. Sending a nudie pic. Consider sending a picture of your private parts to your current partner? Sure, go ahead, unless you're under 18. Since the age of consent and consent laws vary by country and region, everyone's laws around this fluctuate. In general, the age of consent differs from the age of majority, and just because you can partake in sexual acts doesn't mean you are considered an adult. In general, and for example, if the age of consent is 16 and the age of maturity is 18, 16 and 17-year-olds can do the nasty, 15-year-olds and younger cannot do the nasty, and 16 and 17-year-olds cannot partake in any form of nasty with someone over the age of 18. These laws fluctuate heavily everywhere, with some allowing leniency depending on the age gap, while others are much stricter. But we digress, as what we're talking about isn't statutory, it's nudie pics. Let's imagine two youngsters under 18. Well, actually don't, that's a felony. Let's just say two under the age of maturity teenagers are partaking in a legal sexual relationship. Nothing wrong with that, but say one of them wishes to send less than appropriate picture to arouse the other. They take the picture and send it. Now both of them have a nude picture of a minor on their phone, and are both technically now sex offenders. Sound ridiculous and impossible? In September of 2015, a North Carolina high schooler was arrested for possession of illegal child pornography and sexually exploiting a minor. The minor in question? Himself. Along with a suspension from football and an undeclared fine, the high schooler is now on the sex offenders watch list for life, for, I repeat, having taken a naked picture of himself. 5. Illegal drug use. Another fairly ambiguous crime. When we say illegal drug use, we're talking about any and all drug-related offenses. Of course, you have your obvious heroin, meth, marijuana, and random pills from your friendly neighborhood doctor, but thanks to in-school anti-drug programs and the fact that drug use is more of a 18 to 35-year-old thing, most of the hard drug statistics have reduced significantly over the years. Exempt from that, of course, we have marijuana, which until recently was illegal pretty much everywhere in the states unless for medical purposes. At current stats, marijuana is still completely illegal in 8 states, illegal but only as a minor offense in 3, and illegal without a license in 25. So if you're in America, and unless you have some form of mental or physical ailment, odds are it's illegal to smoke pot. But that doesn't stop anyone, as in many cases it's more common to smoke pot than cigarettes. Regardless of actual illegal drugs, it's also very common to break drug laws without even knowing it. Having a stressful day and your friend gives you a Xanax, or taking somebody else's prescription pills? Under the eyes of the law, you've committed a crime. In the sharing pills scenario, both the owner of the medication and the unprescribed taker are liable for lawsuits, fines, and while unlikely, but possibly, jail time. Don't share your meds, kids. Underage drinking. Probably one of the more obvious crimes a youth could commit, underage drinking runs so rampant in America that 1 in every 10 alcoholic drinks will be consumed by a minor under the age of 21. This is, of course, in relation to high school and college parties being fairly well known for illegal and heavy drinking, with studies finding that 40 to 70% of teenagers admit to having consumed alcohol under the age of 21. Now, those stats can be motivationally deceiving, as any and all forms of underage drinking are included, such as the religious drinking of communion wine and celebrational toasts of any size at weddings or New Year's parties. Regardless of intent, there are still roughly 150,000 emergency room visits every year from underage drinking, with around 4,000 directly related deaths. As for punishments, whoever's buying the alcohol can be hit with a fine up to $2,500, along with a year in prison. Apprehended minors will usually face a fine of around $500, a class about why drinking is dangerous, and a couple hours of community service. Was doing all those body shots off of cheerleaders really worth it? Probably, but not under the law. Number 3. Piracy. No, we're not talking about ships full of unwashed, bearded, sword-wielding criminals, nor their modern assault rifle-armed counterparts. All that leaves is internet piracy, a shockingly popular borderline crime, but due to recent crackdowns can now be considered a very risky offense. Internet piracy is the act of watching, playing, or using any form of electronic entertainment or software without purchasing it. Piracy is a major concern for all forms of media, and it hurts not only the creator, but their backers, co-creators, and the economy itself. Regardless of this, piracy is one of the most committed crimes of our age, with studies finding more than half of all internet users at one point or another uploading, downloading, streaming, or using copyrighted media unlawfully. While downloading illegal media is still risky, police and lawyers usually go after the uploaders, the sharers, and of course the hosters of the file. For example, Mega Upload, a former internet file hosting company created by Kim.com, was a very popular source for uploading and downloading copyrighted material. Everything from video games, software, music, and movies were available for free after just a simple download. Eventually, authorities caught on, and the United States Department of Justice seized the domain and had all of the company's assets frozen. Since then, Kim.com has been arrested in New Zealand and is currently fighting extradition charges to the USA. Speeding. Hey, we've all done it, we understand. Sometimes you can feel like you absolutely have to speed to get somewhere on time, like when you're late for work or class, or it's date night and you spent the whole day gambling your life away in Vegas while your wife thought you were at work and you have to hurry home because your marriage is falling apart, and if you let her down one more time, she'll kick you out and take the kids. We get it. You're an asshole, and you're putting not only your life but other drivers' lives at risk. But we get it. Speeding refers to any time your speedometer goes above the posted speed limit. The term is fairly ambiguous, as even going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit is technically speeding. Now, while the punishments range widely from region to region, the average speeding ticket is somewhere around $150 and can spread anywhere from $50 to $500. Some areas choose fine by for a standard mile rate, or segments of 15 mile over, or whatever the cop feels is a good punishment. An estimate by StatisticBrain.com shows that 1 in 5 viewers will be given a speeding ticket this year, and Americans collectively pay out over $6 billion in speeding fines annually. Jaywalking. Yes, it's a law. Yes, there are reasons for it. And yes, you've probably broken this law at least a dozen times so far. Jaywalking, which by the way is built off the slur jay, meaning uneducated idiot, is the actual legal term for crossing the road at a non-designated crosswalk or by crossing the road at an unsafe time. Illegal or discouraged in most every country, it still runs rampant. While some countries absolutely forbid pedestrians from entering the road at non-designated crosswalks, others show leniency if there's not a crosswalk nearby, or if the road is empty. Since laws vary widely by country, state, municipality, and town, it's hard for us to lay down any general rules. But to be safe and avoid breaking the law, it's generally best to always cross at either a set of lights or a well-marked crosswalk. Although jaywalkers are far too numerous to fine at every offense, those who do manage to get ticketed can be hit with a variety of punishments, ranging from demerit points against their license, even if they don't have one, to fines of up to $200 for crossing a bloody street. This is, of course, assuming there is no accident, whereby punishments can be increased heavily, even up to criminal charges. Unless you're Belgium, of course, where unless you literally throw yourself in traffic, you are never at fault.